And then it gets a little bit faster and a bit higher. And then you get Robert Smith from Early Cure. Even with that slight reverb and I want to
Yeah.
say, is it called flange? That
Yeah.
effect that he has in his first couple of albums, really sounded like that, which again just made me just very happy. And I struggle to express my surprise or my delight at this. But... Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My eyes are like telescopes. I see it all backwards, but who wants hope? If I ever catch that ventriloquist, I'll squeeze his head right into my fist. More on that later. But first, we've got a song to listen to. My name's Andy. His name's John. Scratch that, reverse it. And a little bit of Willy Wonka there. And and we've got a song to listen to. Andy, what have you got?
I've got a track called Bicycle by a group called, by an outfit called Memory Tapes.
Wasn't there a Flowbot song called Bicycle?
I don't know. I don't know.
I can ride my bicycle. You know that song?
Yes.
The one with the war and everything and all that shit. Not that, obviously. Sorry.
It isn't. No.
And of course, there's a Pink Floyd song called Bicycle as well. Was it called Bike? I've got a bike. You can ride it if you like. No, anyway.
Yeah.
Get away from it. Right. So, right. Memory Tapes. Bicycle.
Yeah, Memory Tapes, Bicycle.
Okay, I shall give it a whirl.
Enjoy.
Okay, starts. This is not really my bag, but there's certain elements to it I liked. Had a nice kind of almost Latin American feel to the percussion that gave it a little bit of shimmy. And the sort of high, it's heavy on the synths, obviously, but that high synth part, it almost sounded a bit sort of Vangelis-like, which I quite like. Yeah, and then the guy singing, not the greatest of voices, but I guess it kind of fits into this sort of indie dancey type sound. It's almost like he's trying to channel sort of a weak David Byrne, but not quite making it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's okay. Let's see how it goes. Beat's gonna kick in now. And can I see? just quickly, I really like that synthy bass part. It's a bit Daft Punkish, and it's kind of driving this bit. I like it. Yeah, there's lots of little segments to this song, or different sort of pitches to it. That sort of sweet little synthy motif, and it came back again there. And then this bit with the backing chorus choir almost sounding almost gospely, and you've got that sort of housey piano bit, which is quite nice. I wrote as much as I could. That guitar is so strange and so welcome as well. A really amazing surprise. But it's not. Yeah, it could not be more New Order if it was in a big box saying "This is New Order" written all over it. Um, yeah, but it kind of changed. So it started off sounding a bit hooky, a bit bassy, and it's sort of coming up, and it sounded like Barney playing a sort of post Brotherhood sort of New Order guitar part, or that sort of that sort of era. And then it just kind of changed a tweak again. It sounded like Robert Smith, early The Cure. That sort of, even that tone of that guitar with that sort of reverby, is it flange, that effect, the slight effect on it. It was awesome, actually. I'm sorry, but we're going to go back and listen to whatever the hell that was. I think about there. Let's go for it. Sounds like beautiful. That's very good. I could have put that last half on a loop for another 10 minutes. I'd have been happy. I don't think I've heard a song of Andy's which has taken such a turn that has made me so happy. The first half, I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it, but there's a couple of bits, the Vangelis bits I liked, but it wasn't really my bag. It's okay. I didn't hate it, but you know, but that bit there with the New Order, The Cure, and not only did it sound like them, but it was kind of using similar motifs, particularly the Robert Smithy bit. Really could it sounded like something, I don't know, sort of Charlotte sometimes, that era, that sort of thing. Really nice. Yeah, that was just very unexpected turn and really pleasant one. Really enjoyed the last half of that a lot. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to need to find out more about this. Let's get back to Andy.
Back from your ride on the bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
What say you on memory tape song here?
Well, I've said this before. I'm saying it again. It was a tale of two halves, Brian. It really was. So get into it. First half of the song. So the intro to it is pretty, pretty much most of it is synth laden, which it's fine, but it has that higher element of the synth in it, which then comes later in the song as well. Right at the start, and it really reminded me of sort of Vangelis, particularly like some of the stuff he does in the Blade Runner soundtrack. That sort of
Mm-hmm.
wistful high notes. I really, really like that. And the percussion, particularly the start, almost has a Latin American feel to it. It's got a bit of shimmy to it and a bit of bossa nova and all that sort of rubbish. Not rubbish, sorry, all that stuff. Yeah. And he starts singing, and straight away I file this mentally as indie dance later noughties. Could be wrong, but there you go. I will say this, and within the first 5 seconds, I'm thinking the vocals are the weakest member of the team here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and if they all, crashed into a mountain, all the rest of the elements of the song would turn around and eat him first, definitely. Um, just saying.
Yeah, of course.
um, so yeah, and it's going along. It's not my thing, but it's okay. There's certain bits like he's doing his things, and then it drop, and then the first like beat drop where it kicks in was like really telegraphed, even for someone like me who doesn't frequent very often this particular musical cul-de-sac. But I
Uh-huh.
saw it coming. However, as it did that, I went into the beat proper, and as it's going along, I did really like that sort of driving synthy bass part, and it had like touches of Daft Punk to me to it, and yeah, it was very pleasing. Um, and here we get the first introduction of the sort of backing chorus, but more on them later. And there's a bit more Vangelis, and it's all sounding nice enough. So there's a quiet little interlude where it goes down, and there's this very sweet little keyboard motif, and I'm sure I could hear really faintly in the mix. It sounded like children playing in the playground or something, but like really. So yeah, fair enough. And then back to the main vocals. And at this point, I'm thinking this would be much better as an instrumental. So there you go. That's my take on him. There's some more sort of house music kind of dropout techniques with quite a lo-fi sort of take on that previously mentioned synth motif, the really sweet one. And then it all changes. And it doesn't just take a left turn. It really hits the passenger eject button, shooting across the sky, and then paraglides in gloriously to the finish line. Yeah, suddenly this chorus kicks back in again, sounding glorious, and I do mean glorious. It's yeah, and yeah, all sorts of. There's a piano going on as well, and then you get the oddest. I mean, really oddest, but most welcome, wonderful guitar turn, and it's something you wouldn't expect after listening to the first half of this song at all.
Uh-huh.
Um, uh, it's almost like they had a studio share program, and they'd overrun into somebody else's, and he's coming, well, I'm going to do my thing anyway. I don't care if you're still doing your song. Um, and it starts off this guitar, and it's so strange because it morphs into like three different parts. So it starts off sounding like Hooky from New Order. I mean, it really does. It could not be more order, New Order. No, it could not be more New Order if it tried, but it sounds great. And then as it's playing, very slowly, the notes go upwards and upwards up the scale. And then it does sound like Barney playing a classic sort of New Order guitar line. And then it gets a little bit faster and a bit higher. And then you get Robert Smith from Early Cure, even with that slight reverb. And I want to
Yeah.
say, is it called flange? That
Yep.
effect that he has in his first couple of albums,
Mm-hmm.
really sounded like that, which again just made me just very happy. And I struggle to express my surprise or my delight at this, but both were huge. Um, yeah, and it sounded like sort of later New Order, sort of Brotherhood, or after that. Um, which kind of fits in because that's when they became even more dancey, New Order. But yeah, the chorus, the choir is becoming more angelic, almost gospel sounding. The piano sounds great as well. It has that with the beat. It's almost got that. And I'm not an aficionado in this sort of genre, but I would call it like happy house kind of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this really simple bass line that sounds great. It's so much so that I can almost ignore the happy, clappy sounding drums, unless they're supposed to be like the choir clapping, like a la Chaka Khan in the Blues Brothers movie. But I mean, probably that is. But ultimately, you're left as it sort of fades away, feeling genuinely uplifted and euphoric, and it was a real surprise, and I
Oh.
really loved it.
Well, I'm glad it was a grower and that as it
Yeah.
progressed, it drew you in more and more. Yeah, it's an interesting song, off an interesting album by an interesting guy who did it all himself. His name is Dave Hawk, and he's better known by his stage name of Memory Tapes. And he's an American singer songwriter and record producer, and the former frontman of a Philadelphia based band called Hail Social. Um, and after they broke up, he started releasing his own independent stuff just in bits and pieces under the names Memory Cassette and Weird Tapes. And Hawk would then go on to release his first solo album as Memory Tapes, entitled Seek Magic. And it was self released in the US, and Seek Magic sold 1,000 copies on pre release through Rough Trade, which is a shop in London, and has since sold over just 30,000. It's very niche, but it has gotten a fairly large cult following and some pretty interesting acclaims as well. Mostly from write ups. We're not talking Grammys or anything like that, right? Um, but they were initially associated, and particularly this album, Seek Magic, associated with what was called the chill wave music genre, which was kind of this
Right.
super subgenre. I pulled up the just to get, because I'm sure people are going to be like, chill wave, what the fuck is that? But it's basically it appeared around the late 2000s, which you identified pretty well in your estimation there. It's characterized for evoking popular music from the late 70s and early 80s, while engaging notions of memory and nostalgia. Common features include faded or dreamy retro pop sound, escapist lyrics. Frequent topics include like the beach or summertime. There's psychedelic or lo-fi aesthetics, mellow vocals, slow to moderate tempos, effects processing, especially reverb, and vintage synthesizers. So that is kind of what chillwave is in a nutshell. What's up?
Yeah, you had similar stuff. Oh, what's it called? Cafe. it wasn't my thing, but yeah, there was some cafe. It was that chill wave Ibiza sound. They had lots of compilation albums.
Uh-huh.
Somebody put in the comments what it is. It's called Cafe something. I can't remember. And interesting, prior to that, about 10 years prior to that, you had a similar thing coming through. I don't know what the label was, but it was kind of this loungy, jazzy effect mixed in with dance techniques. So you had people like Jimmy Tenor and people like that doing stuff that was quite cool and out there. I think from what I remember, and I just my memory's terrible, but it was a continental thing that kind of drifted into not mainstream, but well known in Britain at the time. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember Chillwave. I mean, I wasn't a massive fan of it, but I mean, there's nothing to hate about it. It's cool.
Right, right. And it can't be argued that they don't tap into sounds, some of which you're a big fan of because they were
Yeah,
inspired by bands that you absolutely adore, right? So
yeah,
that was kind of why I wanted to like wedge them into one of our episodes, because I know at the very least you would appreciate the sounds that are being harkened back to in the songwriting of Chillwave. And this particular album was pretty big in the chillwave movement. So yeah, Memory Tapes was initially associated with that music genre, but is seen more as a producer in his own right. And each album has its own separate feel and instrumentation. This one in particularly obviously leaned into that chillwave sound. Seek Magic used a lot of dance rhythms and sounds, and had touch tones such as New Order, which you quickly and directly identified, as well as Cocteau Twins. Hawk plays everything on his records and uses unusual sounds, such as a bicycle pump on the track Bicycle, and the sound of sneakers on a basketball court on Green Night, which obviously took me back to, what was it, Penguin Cafe Orchestra, where they sort of like incorporate all these, and even Man Man, right? When we did Man Man, there were all these like, yeah, this guy plays the breaking china against a wall. It's like all these weird disparate sounds. So I thought that was another interesting factoid about these guys that dovetailed into some of the stuff we've talked about in the past. And at Metacritic, which we just talked about on our last reaction, they also gave this album an aggregate score of 86, which I believe was the exact score that you were quoted as well. I believe, was that Kiwanuka we were discussing when
yeah,
you said that? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, and that was based off obviously only 9 reviews. It's not like this thing was getting written about in every music periodical out there. This is a very niche subgenre. But that does indicate, in their estimation, universal acclaim. The album has a rating of 8.0 from the review aggregator website Any Decent Music, and that website certified it a chart topper. Seek Magic was awarded the title Best New Music by Pitchfork, with critic Ian Cohen praising the album as achingly gorgeous dance pop that captures both the joy of nostalgia and the melancholic sense of that we're grasping for good times increasingly out of reach. And in 2019, a retrospective piece on Chillwave for Stereo Gum Cohen cited Seek Magic as probably the best Chillwave album released in 2009, and by definition, probably the greatest Chillwave album of all time. So that is a little bit about the artist and the album, and now we're going to dig into the lyrics, which actually, despite the song being, what is it, 5+ minutes in length, it just repeats this blurb throughout the song. There isn't a set verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, or choruses or pre-choruses or any of that. It's simply this set of lines here, which is, I'm in love with you, little sister. We ride home in the night, while under our feet the rain paints the streets with the stars. And I love that line. It's so like it's well written, because I can see the pools of water that the rain has caused to gather on the streets reflecting the stars from above. And it takes me back to and it is nostalgic. It's evocative in a very nostalgic way. I'm thinking of riding my bikes through my small town with my buddies during the summer when there was no school or cares in our minds. And passing cars with light trails behind them, we could follow them on. Given this town is wearing me down, let's take off. No one would know that we've gone. And that is the summation of the lyrics that repeat itself throughout the entirety of the song. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Around, especially around that time, it was written by, folks around my age and being nostalgic for things that I could directly relate to. So yeah, and I think we've listened to that in some of the stuff you've put forth. I think even some jam stuff like touched on the nostalgia of growing up in a certain area
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
what that was like and so forth. And I just think that if you're from the generation or close to it that came, that the folks were who wrote the song, it kind of hits a little bit different than perhaps it does someone else from another generation. um and I don't know, maybe that's why it resonates with me like it does. But yeah, I wanted to bring it to the channel and see what you thought of it. Thanks for your honest opinion. I knew that there would be redeeming qualities to it. He's definitely no Mr. Sanchez when it comes to his vocals, but to each their own. Not the greatest singer in the world, I'll grant you that. I surely will. But an excellent, I think, composer of music, and he definitely has an ear for production, which I
Oh yeah.
think this song exhibited for sure. So, thanks for giving it a listen, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, you mentioned it then. Any Decent Music is a really good website, and I don't think we've mentioned it before, but it is a very good website, and I use it
Yeah.
a lot. Um, they just regurgitate obviously reviews, etc., but you can get to see ones from the ones that you kind of rate, which is cool. And secondly, you're totally right, and I do think nostalgia is not what it used to be. Anyway.
Dinger. Got that one in there. I like it.
Yeah, had to. Contractually
Okay.
obliged. If there's anything that reminds me of a Christmas cracker joke, I have to put it in.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing, man.
Said the actress to the bishop. Anyway.
Folks out there in the listening audience, let us know what you thought of Memory Tapes and the song Bicycle. If you heard any of the bands or perhaps other bands, they didn't explicitly say The Cure, and I was going to, but John did, because God, that guitar screamed the Cure when I heard it as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, if there's any other bands that you guys think that are from around that same time as The Cure and Cocteau Twins and New Order and all that, let us know who they are, and what about the song made you think of that. If you have any other songs to offer up yourself that we can give a check out on our Friday episodes, continue to bring them our way. We love, speaking of aggregating, like we love to bring all of those together and kind of compile them and go through them and chip away at that list, because you guys are bringing some pretty good stuff to the table. We hope that y'all can say the same about what we do Monday through Thursday. All that out of the way, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and we hope to see all y'all and maybe some more on the next episode of the Audiophiles. See you later, guys.